guys, welcome back to another Three Amigos video. Today we are sharing a sort of behind the scenes photo shoot as well as some photos of our portraits that we took with our good friend Steph. And the idea this time was to shoot at the Team Lab, which is a sort of temporary exhibition that's been going on in Hong Kong. And basically, what it features is lots of these lit up balls at night, basically. So, Junior, tell us a little bit about how do you think the shoot went and how did you feel about it?
Yeah, I think it was quite fun actually. I really like rain photography, and I mean, although it was a bit challenging with the rain, but I really enjoy taking pictures in the rain, and I think we had a lot of fun. I think ultimately that's important, and Steph also had a lot of fun. So I think ultimately that's what we strive for in order to kind of get the pictures. We are all kind of enjoying the moment and taking some fun pictures along the way. So as Stanton mentioned, we just want to go over in terms of the pictures that we took and behind the scenes and the intent of the pictures that we're basically showing as well, try to capture. And how about you? How did you find the shoot overall? I mean, Leica is not really
Well,
weather sealed, right?
yeah,
So
yeah. Well, I think there are two things that I really wanted to achieve with this. Number one was I've never really taken the Noctilux on sort of like really a night shoot, and so I really wanted to put the Noctilux in its environment that I was meant to shoot at, right? Because it's so I shot most of my photos at f1 or f1.2, and so I really wanted to test the performance. And the second thing is, well, with the Leica M10R, which is the camera that I use, it's not really known for having very good low light capabilities. So I wanted to shoot at a lower light and higher ISOs. I shot mainly between 1600 and anywhere to like 6400. So I wanted to see how the photos would turn out. And overall, pretty happy with the photos. And so, yeah, what about you, Junior? What did you bring, and what were you
yeah, so I
trying
bought
to achieve?
my current favorite, photography camera, which is my dear Hasselblad's. It's obviously this one is not weather sealed, and I 07X is not weather sealed. So I had a Ziploc bag, and you saw me with the Ziploc bag, right? Just making
Yeah.
sure that it doesn't really get too much rain on it. Um, as I talked to you during the shoot, is that I felt the Hasselblad was maybe struggling a little bit, just because I couldn't bump
Hmm.
the ISO so high.
Yeah.
But actually, in post, I was very surprised, and I think we can dive a bit more later. But in terms of how much I could recover from the shadows
Hmm.
compared to what I shot with the Canon, it's quite impressive. So I now I take it back, and I don't think the Hasselblad struggled at all because of at
Hmm.
post I was just able to recover pretty much everything to daytime almost, even though we shot at 6 p.m. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, one thing I realized is that man, using a rangefinder at night is pretty hard to nail focus.
yeah,
Um, so I did end up using live view a lot, and I think probably if I brought the VisoFlex, I think that would have made like the external viewfinder. I think that would have made the shooting experience much easier. So yeah,
So
I
wait,
think it as
wait, when you use a live view, does it show you the focus peaking or?
yeah, so you can
Yeah,
focus peak. Yeah. So you can focus peak on the M10, but it's just that the fact that you need to sort of like use it sort of like a point and shoot camera
right.
to focus, which I would prefer sort of like looking into the screen. But so I think the using an electronic EVF probably would have made the shoot a bit easier, especially with the Nautilus because the the plane of focus is so thin. I
Yeah.
think the EVF would have been a good addition to the shoot.
Did
But
you
overall,
shoot wide open? Did you shoot wide open?
sorry. Yeah,
Did you shoot like?
I shot most of my photos wide open. I mean, if you
Wow.
buy
Okay.
Noctilux, shoot it wide open, right? You're not gonna
Okay.
shoot it
Sure.
at
Sure.
f4,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Kudos to you. Okay. Yep.
yeah. Okay. So yeah. So, um, yeah, Steph was a great model. We got some really good photos.
Yep.
Basically talking a little bit about how our journey sort of went. We met after work and we went to Team Lab, took some photos around the balls, and I think it was quite nice that it was actually raining, so that actually there wasn't a lot of people. And the second thing was we sort of walked from the Team Lab into Central, which is more like a CBD area, and we took some sort of more urban sort of night shots. And we made use of the natural light, not natural light, we made use of the artificial lights coming from buildings and things like that. But it was a really good opportunity to sort of test the bokeh and really test the low light capabilities of the cameras. And overall, really happy with the photos. So yeah, I think we can get into it and
Yeah,
talk about our thought process and how we shot and everything.
sounds good. So let's jump straight to it. So I think this is the
Okay.
first picture you took, right?
Yeah, so I shot the whole night on the Noctilux basically, and I like this photo because it shows three iconic things in Hong Kong. Number one is the IFC, and number two is the AIA tower, the sorry, the AIA sort of Ferris wheel on the right hand side, and at the same time it shows one Team Lab ball. And I love how the umbrella and just shows a very happy sort of composition. So I think it's more like an iconic and sort of capturing the environment sort of shot. And what I realized in editing these photos actually is that the white balance was actually very tricky. I don't know if you actually came across that problem because the
Yeah,
balls were constantly changing colors and sometimes they were different colors. So
yeah,
editing in post, I try not to edit most of the photos to try and keep the originality of the Noctilla, but the main thing that I sort of edited was sort of the tint as well as the white balance, and I wanted it to be a bit more natural. I found some of the photos to be a bit too magenta or too green. So yeah, overall very happy with this photo, but mainly is just to show, to create the story and showing her in the environment basically.
yeah. I think on the white balance, I did have a the building here. I think you managed quite well. I think in my case, the white balance at the back, the building was very yellow because of the lights
Yeah,
coming from the
yeah,
buildings. So and then in contrast, because it's a nighttime, like 6 p.m., it's very bluish with the balls also lighting up in blue as well. So there was like a contrast of white balance that
yeah.
yeah, it was playing here. But yeah, it's very good. Anything else
No,
on
I
this?
think this is good for this photo.
Yeah. This one was in 1.2 as well, and you nailed the focus. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, nice.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I did take like 700 photos, and probably in every 3 or 4.
First mode, yeah,
To be fair, yeah, to be fair, I probably got focused in one in every half or every third photo. It was difficult, especially when she walked a little bit. The plane was off, so
right.
it was quite evident. So yeah, so this is another photo again, shot pretty much wide open, and I love her posture, like how she's sort of integrating herself um, with the lit up light balls, and I love how it creates this the blue color is just really easygoing, and her facial expressions as well. I think it's very nicely captured in this photo,
Yeah,
and also able to show more sort of like an environmental portrait, being able to show like the alignment of everything. Yeah, so overall, just trying to sort of get the model to interact with the lights, and I think yeah, this is a good photo. One thing you'll note in the Noctilux, it really does suffer from a lot of vignetting. This
yeah.
is
I was
not
gonna
post
ask that
processing.
actually. Yeah, I
Yeah,
do
yeah.
you added in
This is
post, but yeah,
no. This is the vignetting naturally. Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I actually quite
Okay.
really like the tones on this picture as well. From the like the rendering of the knock is it's very creamy.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, it's definitely very soft, but I think especially for portraits, I think it works very well.
yeah,
Like it yeah, you don't. It's not. You don't want the skin to show all the flaws, as you would say in digital
yeah,
photography, and the Noct really has that ability to soften things in a very pleasing way to the eye.
yeah.
Yeah. So as it was raining, so we had to shoot with the umbrella quite a lot. But again, more of I think it's a nice portrait, captures a very nice facial expression, and again, like editing the white balance was quite difficult on these photos. But yeah, I like this photo. Again, going from like trying to tell a story from a more environmental portrait into something more and more close up, basically. Yeah, so I love the facial expression of the model. Actually, I think the best photos that we took actually occurred when we were sort of just talking with her,
Yeah.
interacting with her. And although she's a very good model, very good poser, but
She's
I think
very
the
natural,
genuine,
actually. Yeah,
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 the very natural poses and the smiles really just came from making the model feel relaxed. And yeah, I really like this photo, and it shows her in the environment as well. Some of the building lights coming from the background as well.
Yeah, and I think maybe one fact is that people might ask is like, oh, why do we not use flash, for example, for you know the moments that we're capturing
Yeah.
here, which some people might use, and I tried to use with my Canon. I think I took one shot until the security
Yeah.
came over and was like,
Yeah.
no flashes
Yeah.
here. So yeah, so we try
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
basically use the lenses that we have, bump up the ISO. I think you exposed it like very nicely. So this is wide open, man. This is 1-0.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no wonder. Okay. Let's
Okay.
move on to the
Yeah.
next one. Yep.
Okay, so this is where the white balance gets really tricky. But first of all, I like this composition. I tried to use one of the um, light balls to sort of create a foreground to try and shape the photo, and trying to create a sense of trying to create dimension within the photo basically. So this photo I like because she's striking a very nice pose, and but you notice that I try to toggle in many different ways. But as you know, like green and magenta are not like opposite ends of the tint spectrum. So it's like
Yes. Yeah.
either she's in white balance or the buildings are in white balance. But I think because the main focus would be the light coming from the balls as well as her. So even though the buildings turn green, and but I think it's acceptable. It doesn't seem too out of place. So
Yeah, I guess because
yeah,
you as you mentioned before, you didn't want to do too much post, right? Because you could use masking
yeah,
to cover that.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I mean, you want to make sure that what you're presenting here is at least she's white balanced correctly. So
yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
your focus here. I see. Okay. Yep. Again, another one wide open. Yeah.
Yep. So this is when we were walking from the exhibition, and we're walking towards the Ferris wheel, and as you know, like it was 8 or 9 p.m. at night already, so we were really struggling with the light mainly, and we came across this billboard slash sign which says Love 852, and we got some really nice bright light coming from this billboard slash sign, and so we thought we could opportunity to just go up and use it as like a side light basically. And I love how basically the photos composed, because 852 represents Hong Kong, so that's why I thought it'd be a good sort of background to put in the photo. And yeah, she posed very naturally, very beautifully, very beautiful smile, and I really like the light coming from the background, and so yeah,
Yep.
we're very happy with this photo. Otherwise,
Yeah, it's actually very interesting. Like as you said, the knock makes the skin like quite smooth, but in a way,
yeah,
it keeps the sharpness of the hair. Actually, it's quite interesting. It's not
yeah,
like it just blurs everything out, right? It's like
yeah,
it's actually
yeah,
very controlled, and that
yeah.
creates a very nice rendering actually out of the
I mean,
picture.
if you compare it to like in our previous video where we shot it with the Canon Dream, we
Yep,
felt that the Dream was a bit like
just
too
everything.
crazy. Like it
Just
was,
put
yeah,
Vaseline in
like
front of the
even
lens. Yeah.
yeah,
That's it. Yeah,
yeah. Whereas with the Noct, it's like it's a bit controlled. Yeah, it's still a bit dreamy. That's
yeah,
quite pleasing.
yeah. It's
Yeah,
very nice. So this one.
yeah, yeah. So this is when we were walking from the exhibition area towards the urban area in Central, and we were just trying to play around with the lights that was in the environment basically, and we tried to the model was lit by some lights coming from the road basically, and we thought it'd be pretty cool because she was getting some hair light and some nice sort of background light coming from the cars coming in the background. So yeah, overall very happy with this photo. Ideally, I think if we had a slightly slower shutter speed, I think the photos would turn up even nicer if we could get a bit of trail lights. However, I had tried shooting even faster, sorry, even slower, but all my photos turned out to be too blurry. So this is sort of the minimum shutter speed that I could take comfortably. But overall,
Yeah,
I like
well,
how the photo
25, right? So yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I like how the photo is pretty well balanced in terms of the lighting. Like you get a bit of hair light, get a bit of the street lights, and yeah, I like how it sort of shows the model in a very local and genuinely in the environment. So I think we were quite happy with this. We'll see your version with the flash as well later.
Oh, the flash. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think this spot was pretty nice. I think we stayed probably like 10-15 minutes here actually, just waiting for
Yeah,
the cars
wait for
and
the lights.
yeah,
Yeah, wait for the
exactly.
cars. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And then I think this one, oh yeah, this is the tunnel bit, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, this is underpass where we're going from the exhibition back into the sort of central urban area, and we came across a tunnel, and because it was lit, it was quite getting quite late at night. We had the whole tunnel to ourselves basically, and I love how the symmetry. Like, it's really all about the geometry and the symmetry in this photo, and initially it was in color, but I realized that the lighting wasn't very pleasing, and so this photo looks great in black and white. And I think the key to getting a good photo in this environment was placing the model in the right place. So remember how we were getting her to step back and forth, how
yeah,
it actually created very different shadows on her body. So I think being able to position her in the right place at the same time getting the right symmetry. I think that was the key to getting this photo. And yeah, I think this is probably one of my favorite photos from the shoot. Just yeah, I think the environment was really nice for this one.
yeah. I really like the symmetry, and on the light actually, I remember that because you can see from the top like these horizontal, lights that you have on top. As soon as she was below one of them, you would cast like such a harsh shadow. So we
Yeah,
tried
yeah,
to put her in between those lights, right? So that at least
yeah.
more even from the light perspective. So yeah,
Yeah, and we had to also make sure that she was also in the circle, so we were like trying different
yeah,
lights as well. And I think
yeah,
that's what worked out as well. Yeah. Okay, so this is walking to Central, and I actually really enjoy the rain in this photo. Actually, I think because um, if it wasn't raining, actually, I think this photo would be less interesting because I think a with the rain there's less people, but more importantly, I think you get the light casting reflections on the floor, and so I think this photo just sort of it's a nice environmental portrait. And even though I shot pretty much almost wide open, but I don't think it's blown out to a point where it's too crazy. And
yeah.
so yeah, I just love this photo, how it shows the city lights basically. And yeah, I think it was nice.
Yeah, I really like the hair light as well here.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
she's getting from the stores actually, it's
yeah,
actually
yeah.
really nice.
So this is one photo that we took on the tram stop, basically, and we were just getting some fluorescent lights coming from the tram station, which is actually pretty challenging. It was pretty dark, but I love how this photo is just very well balanced in terms of that, and yeah, I think the Noct really. I think like to be fair, compositionally, I don't think it's a great photo, but I think the knock really like if not for the knock I don't think I could have created this photo. And so yeah, I just love how the skin tones are shown, and yeah, and showing sort of the tram tracks in the background with some of the sea lights in the background. um I love how it creates sort of the context for this photo.
Yeah,
And yeah,
I think even like the edges, it looks so
yeah,
there's like a glow on it actually. It's actually
yeah, yeah,
really
yeah,
nice how Steph pops out of this picture actually.
yeah, yeah. All right. I think
Cool,
that's my photos.
cool. The Leica knock.
Yeah.
So we'll jump now to some Canon because again, as I mentioned, it was rating, so I didn't want to put my Hasselblad through the paces by testing the weather sealing of it, which doesn't exist. But yes, this is using the Canon R3, and I think for what I intended for this picture is to capture basically the team lab aspect, right? It's like those big egg balls, and I really like how the light changes into blue. It's almost like a sky in a way, like
Yeah.
it's like a sky tone. And I did do a bit more post processing here. So the white balance was very off. So I had to make sure that her skin tones was correct, while I also white balanced the environment, which is very blue as well.
Mm.
So I tried to make sure that it's kind of handled in that way so that she doesn't become very blue as well. But I tried to position her right in the middle so that I
Was
can
there was there a strobe in this photo? Like she's so well lit compared to my
no,
photos.
no, she's not. I think it was because the lights here were very bright, actually. So
Okay,
they,
okay.
they don't look like it because I dimmed them down in post, but it was very bright in a way that it was kind of wrapping around her a little bit.
Yeah.
So I tried to basically get that wrap of light, and then capture that. And for this scene,
So
I actually tried to capture like 3 different angles. So this is like the wide one, and then a medium one,
yeah,
and then a close one.
what lens were you shooting with for the
So this
Canon?
is the RF 1.2. So I just
Mm.
brought one prime for this, especially because we're also shooting using the Canon R3 for some B-rolls. Um,
Yeah,
that's for me, I can use that for B-rolls as well as take some nice pictures as well. So yeah, so that's the one, and then I basically had another one which is a bit more of a close-up, like a medium one. And this one I also really like how, again, playing with the eggs, and also with the background here, which
yeah,
has a bit of a Hong Kong kind of local kind of
yeah,
architecture. And I really like how Steph expression, I think you crack a joke or something, and then she had a giggle, so I
yeah,
tried to snap that. So I really like that as well. And again, I mean, across the team lab kind of shoots, I try to white balance her skin as much as possible, so that it doesn't get too distorted
Mm.
by the lights of
What
the eggs.
ISO were you shooting this photo at?
3200. You can see, yeah, I was bumping it high,
Yeah.
even though I'm
Yeah.
at the
But man,
widest already. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But man, like I can tell like just from the photos that like the Canon sort of light capabilities is like quite better than the Leica M10R for sure.
I
Like I
well,
can
I
tell
think
like the dynamic range and everything is definitely there.
yeah. Well, I guess like, to be fair, when I did some posts, I did do some denoise as well, right? There's some
Yeah,
denoising that happens, but I did think that the R3 handled the lights okay.
yeah,
The Hasselblad, as
yeah.
I mentioned before, I thought it didn't handle well, but I'll show you some examples where it did
Okay.
shine. But yeah, overall, I'm quite happy with it, because I can.
Mm.
I think for this kind of environment, I want to make it bright as possible, because again, Team Labs is about the light show, so I want to make sure that I'm
Yeah,
able
yeah,
to kind of emphasize that.
yeah.
And then there's this one which is a bit more closer, again with the
Mhm.
R3, and I
Mm.
just like, again, the hair light.
Yeah, I was about to say the hairlight in this is very nice.
Yeah, so I really try to play again with the lights. So these are my 3 kind of go-to. It's like I take normally a wide one, a medium one, and a close one. So I try to nail these kind of segment if I can. But here again, I think she is very natural, right? So
Yeah,
she's honestly really nice to work with, just because she can just create the pose that she wants, and that we know that she can do, and capture that. So I really like this with the umbrella and the contrast of, once you turn it into black and white, these eggs become basically white. So it becomes quite
yeah.
cool actually in that way. Um, so yeah, I really like this picture for that. And then this one here, I tried to play a little bit with the foreground, which is, who is this guy? It's you. So you kind of frame it a little bit. So here, Steph is actually looking down, and I really like, capturing this moment, because obviously it's part of their shoots, but it also has, the team lab has a background. The light from the buildings actually is lighting up her hair as well, which is quite interesting, because I thought it was actually the eggs, but when I was post processing this, I noticed it's actually coming from the buildings. So
Wow.
it's actually very cool, like how the lights actually
Yeah.
being lit up by the buildings.
No, I love how actually like using me as a foreground actually
Yeah.
really creates a really nice dimension to the photo.
Yeah, I think without you there, I mean, the next one, it's without you. You can see is, I mean, I'm just trying to capture more of a focusing on the ground, the reflection from the rain. But I honestly prefer this one, where you have a bit more of
Yeah.
a foreground. It has a bit more depth to the image, while this one here,
That's for sure.
yeah, it's more about the lights aspects. So this one again, playing with the lights, getting the hairline, the hairlights, and capturing the team lab has a theme for this shoot as well.
Mhm.
Okay, so I think after this we left to Central, and because we didn't catch too much rain there, I started to use the Hasselblad. So
Mm.
Similar to your picture where you had like the stores behind Steph.
Yeah.
This one is more of a close-up, where she's actually just by the window, one of the store windows, and is lit up very nicely, and it creates a very soft light.
Which lens were you Yeah, which lens were you using for this
Yeah,
one?
so this is the 55V from like the
Okay.
XCB 55V. I still don't have the 90V. I'm still waiting for like 5 months already. I wish I had it, but it's the 55. It's the longest focal length I have for the
Yeah.
907X.
Man,
Um,
like I must say like the skin tones compared to the Canon, like
yep.
man, it's crazy. Like
Yeah, it's
yeah,
really like it's very different. Like if I can just use one camera for photography and it's not sports, I'll definitely grab the Hasselblad.
yeah,
Like the lenses that I've been using, I'm just super happy with it, and yeah, it's fantastic. Honestly, like for me to shoot
yeah.
with the Hasselblad, I just I'm 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 just very
How
amazed with what
how
you
was
get.
how was the autofocus? Like we were shooting in
Yeah,
pretty dark areas.
yeah.
What do you think of the autofocus?
So the autofocus was okay, in the sense that because it was lit by the window. In this case, it was okay. But there's cases where we shoot in a darker environment, it did struggle a little bit. But when it was able to kind of pinpoint the focus, for example, this one here,
Yeah,
where it's actually it was very dark there, right? You remember this?
yeah.
This
This is really dark. Yeah,
this is actually without flash, by the way. This one is actually without
yeah,
flash, and it how much I record. I shot this at 3,200 because if I bump any higher, I feel like the noise would creep in too much for what I wanted to take. And in this picture, I wanted to basically have the background, of I think that is the Justice Court behind. I'm not
yeah,
too sure, but it kind of wraps her behind, and I just want to get the trail of lights as well that's coming from the wet floor. But this was really dark, and I did think the Hasselblad, okay, I can't recover much in post, but I was so surprised with how much you can recover. The the dynamic range that this camera has is just impressive. So going forward, I probably won't be as scared of shooting at 3,200.
yeah. I
You can
mean,
see that,
this noise is very acceptable. This
yeah,
noise is very acceptable.
yeah, and it's just very nice to kind of get the lights around her, and yeah, I think the noise level at 3,200, I know for a fact it's kind of manageable. Once I go to 6,400, then it becomes a bit harder to manage, but still
Yeah.
okay. But I just try to avoid going that high. um and then we also have this is something that we try to do, as you know. I
Yeah.
wish one thing that I would have changed in this picture is that, well, I couldn't change, is that I wish there was more rain, right? So what we try to do here is we put a flash behind Steph, right behind where this pavement basically connects to her basically. So behind her, there's a flash on the ground, and the flash is just pointing up. And what you can get
Yeah.
when there's heavy rain is a really nice picture of rain. The raindrops being
Okay.
frozen in time.
We'll insert
Yeah,
we'll insert your reference photo
yeah,
into the
yeah,
video,
yeah.
the
Just
one that you
yeah, yeah.
showed me before. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what we've tried to achieve versus reality, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in here, I honestly think if we had more rain, then we would have nailed the picture. But still, you can
Yeah.
still see some speckles of raindrops.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
But
kind of, yeah,
but what I really like is how the flash, like if you compare it to my photo, the flash creates so much separation in the photo.
mm, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
it really makes her pop, and the hairlight really stands.
yep,
Yeah. So yeah, the flash was a really good addition. I think it really creates that separation on her.
yeah. I think the flash is yes. Normally people can use it as a fill light, but you can also create some separation with the light giving the edge,
Yeah.
even
Like
like
especially like how it. Yeah, especially like how it actually like it's sort of like this halo rim around her skin,
yeah.
like So yeah, it's almost quite angelic, um, sort of lighting.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll try this again when there's a heavier rain, and I'll nail the picture. But
Okay.
yeah, I just wish there was more rain. And then the last one is actually in the tunnel. Again, I'm just
Mhm.
playing with the symmetry a little bit here. I just want to get a close up because
Mm,
I do like how symmetric the tunnel was, but I wanted to see if I can get a close up of her just being in that environment where she gives me a glance, and I'm able to capture that. So this is where I took the picture, and I didn't do black and white just because at least Hasselblad, for the white balance, it was still okay. just because her
Hmm.
skin color did not get too affected by the lights. And I like how the red lips actually is popping out of this picture as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Again, I
that's
didn't
that's
touch anything on the color from the Hasselblad perspective. This is like just from the Hasselblads out of the camera. So yeah, I really like this picture just because
yeah.
again you get the
But
hair.
I think by far Hasselblad has best out of camera color science
Yeah,
for the brands that we tried.
I legit wish I had the Hasselblad digital earlier on. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, but right now I just can't see myself using any other
Yeah.
camera.
I mean, I can see you shooting with the X2D as well.
X to the yeah, probably yeah, if I borrow from someone. But yeah, I'm honestly very happy with the 907X, and
It's
yeah,
nice. It's very nice.
yeah, it's yeah. I still wish that I had the 90V, which is coming, but yeah, let's see when that comes, and then we'll make a video on
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I'm super happy with the performance of the Hasselblad, just because pitch black, how much you can recover. It reminds me almost of the M11M monochrome when we were testing the ISO,
Mm,
if you remember, like how much we can
yeah,
brought back.
yeah.
Um, you know,
Stay tuned for upcoming video. Yeah.
yep, yep. Stay tuned for that. But yeah. Overall, I'm quite happy with my shots. I think hopefully Steph is happy with that. She hasn't
Yeah.
coming back yet, but yeah, hopefully she enjoys this as well.
Okay. So any take homes? So let's name like one or two take homes that you would have from your shoot this
Yep.
time.
So I think for me, for these kind of environments where it's poorly lit, I would try to also bring a tripod. Actually, I think if we were
Mm,
shooting at lower speed, like for this one here, where we have the cars behind, it would be really nice to get just a trail of lights, as you mentioned, right? So if you can't handheld, like the
yeah.
907X does not have IBIS, sure, the X2D has it. Yep, maybe we kind of achieve that with X2D. But I do think for these kind of environments where we are trying to achieve these kind of shots, I would have brought a tripod, for example, and I would have lowered the shutter considerably. I think the lowest I could
Mm,
go was 1/4, and even so, it was not enough of a trail light. And
mm.
yeah, I do wish like I brought a tripod for this, especially like maybe at night. This is something to consider, is that just bring a monopod or a tripod. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my take home was actually I thought that with the Noctilux, because it was f1.0, I actually thought that it wouldn't be a very good environmental portrait lens as per se. But actually it's not too soft, it's not too dreamy that it's like you can't make out what's happening. But I think like with IFC shots and with everything, I think the photos are very usable, and it does have a very pleasing um, skin rendering. And also even if you're shooting f1 or f1.2, if you're far away enough actually, you can still make out the background, and that's
Yep.
something that I was quite happy and quite surprised with as well.
Yeah. No, I think overall it's yeah, I do think it's, again, for people that are not aware, shooting a knob wide open, the depth of field is extremely small. So for you to nail the pictures that you did, it's very impressive. Just because of that, I cannot focus. Like if my life depended on focusing on a rangefinder, I legit cannot focus on a rangefinder. Even so, with a 1.0 lens. So yeah, I think the pictures that you did, like it. I hope Steph is happy with that, because they look amazing from my perspective, and yeah, I think it's quite impressive to see that. Um, Other than that, I just want to put a question to people: is that if you guys want to see a more deep dive behind the scenes in terms of where we guide the model and how we position the light, how we try to think about in that moment how we want to capture the shots, let us know, and then we could possibly do that, right, Stanton? Like set up
Yeah, yeah.
a video where we just go step by step in terms of
Mm.
behind the scenes, how we do work with the
Yeah,
model and
yeah.
take shots.
We do have one video in the making where some surprise photos which we did a month ago for my wedding shoot.
Yep.
And I think we can go a bit more. I think we do a similar format and talk a little bit more about the behind the scenes and the photos that came out, which were again really nice. And also be interesting as a photographer to share experience of being a model as well as, I mean, I'm
Oh
not,
yes. Yep.
you know, and my fiance and I are definitely not as comfortable as Steph is in the camera, so
I
that
think you
was
guys were
quite a
naturals. Yeah.
fun experience as well.
Yeah, I hate being in front of the camera, so I totally relate to that. You guys were naturals. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we can call this a wrap for today's episode. And we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We hope you like this format. I hope we can share a little bit more behind the scenes and sort of our thought process behind the photos as well. And let us know what you guys think about this format and any suggestions, any questions you may have, leave us in the comment below. And don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to our channel because it keeps supporting us to do this as something that we enjoy and are passionate about. So stay tuned and we'll see you guys soon.
Yep. See you in the next one.